Let's start right away with exclusive material. How soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, particularly the tank crews of the 47th Brigade, destroy North Korean troops and their military equipment on Kursk. No matter what tales the Kremlin tells, the DPRK has lost over 3,000 soldiers killed and wounded in the Russo-Ukrainian war. President Zelensky, well, right now you will see everything for yourself in a fiery report. ATSN correspondent Andrei Tsaplienko. It is likely that the tank crew of the 47th Brigade was the first Ukrainian unit to engage in combat with North Korean soldiers in Kursk.
It seemed that there was something on the
They
bay.
said that suspicious troops, not ours, were spotted there near Baga.
What do you mean?
Koreans.
North Koreans?
Yes, they said it was Koreans because we went out, did our job, returned. And we were told the next day. And even in the news on Russian websites, information appeared that the North Koreans were the first to be eliminated.
Decent supervision in the parks has been eliminated.
At the moment, South Korea's intelligence estimates that North Korean losses in the Kursk region are at least 100 dead. Since November, almost all our units in Kursk have already engaged in combat with large groups of military personnel of Asian appearance who are sent into attack without armored vehicles.
This is Qing Yangzhou.
Somewhere around the end of October, a radiogram came to the unit. Be careful, these, let's say, our guests will be engaging in battle.
The guests are North Koreans. The commander of one of the landing units of the 95th Brigade noticed a significant change in the enemy's tactics and is waiting for his paratroopers to capture a prisoner for final confirmation.
Clinical edge, cell clinical edge. I'm there.
North Korea or non-North Korea, we do not have 100% information. Just scattered across the field, across the front, are 50 sheets of the enemy.
Enemy road. The Russians advance.
Russians are crossing in small groups of 3, 4 or 5 people, but here they were going in groups of 15 or 20 people at the same time, in a line.
What do you mean by in a row?
Well, just like that, they went in formation, yes, across the field, one after another in single file.
Such groups advance in waves to assault Ukrainian positions from several directions simultaneously.
Probably more than 300 were coming at us simultaneously from the left and right flanks.
With such intensity of the assault, each tank daily depletes the enemy's full ammunition load.
23 shells a day.
The new enemy was liked by Ukrainian FPV drone operators.
Just to shoot like at a shooting range. That has never happened before.
And now it was like
entire.
Sort of, yes.
Koreans do not know what to do when a drone approaches, so they often take down several assault troops at once. They hide in shelters, which the drones have already mapped it out, and within a few minutes ammunition arrives there, and then FPV search for concussed Kim soldiers among the trees. This happens in all directions, and so far this suicidal tactic of the North Koreans has returned only one village in the Kursk region to Putin.
It's hard, it's scary, because someone still reaches our positions.
Northern Koreans, risking themselves under attacks, pull their dead from the battlefield, likely to report the exact number of losses. Following the assault groups, there is usually a team that turns the bodies face down so that the Ukrainian drones do not. It was impossible to identify them and the Koreans. It is possible that for the same reason Russians distort their faces with flamethrowers, which means either Kim or Putin. Someone from these two is still afraid of direct evidence of North Korea's participation in the war against Ukraine.
I understand it's very
We need
necessary.
prisoners.
Well, of course, to verify that these are some North Koreans, at least for there to be some North Korean documents, we'll take them. The main task is to inflict maximum losses on the enemy. Whether it's North Korea or it's a Russian, it doesn't matter.
However, not everything is bad for the Koreans. It is noticeable that Kim Jong-il's units have better physical training than Russia.
Shining and Ray shoot.
They are trained to shoot excellently, and they shoot just as excellently. At an altitude of 60 to 80 meters, they managed to shoot us down when we flew through their column at speed. That is, he did not run away, he saw the drone approaching him and kept shooting at it to the very end.
If 11,000 such soldiers adapt to drone warfare, then they will pose a serious threat, but that takes time and Putin doesn't have time. Ukrainians need to be pushed out of Kursk before Trump's inauguration to relieve Kyiv. Putin bought these disposable soldiers to throw them by the thousands at Ukrainian positions. This means that for our guys beyond the northern border, there will soon be a lot of...
Now let's return to the Kursk direction of the front. Another loud and hefty slap personally to Putin and all his military commanders. American Abrams tanks scorched the ground under the feet of the so-called Second Army of the world. In tandem with Bradley IFVs, the Abrams tanks have been effectively since October. Hold back the Russian advance on the already legendary town of Sud. All the details of the successful operation of Abrams on the Kursk front in an exclusive report by TSN military correspondent Andriy Tsaplienko.
Abrams gained speed on the snowy Kursk field, covering the frozen pieces of Russian land with its tracks. What seemed unreal at the beginning of the war is now just one of the episodes on the 1,200-kilometer front lines.
Engine start.
Subtitles created by Dima Torzo.
These tank crew members from the 47th Brigade have just returned from one combat mission and are preparing their Abrams for another.
Tank operators are not 100% sure.
The tankers are not 100% sure if among those enemy units they destroyed there were North Koreans, because from a tank the enemy's face is not visible. But the fact that the legendary Abrams are driving on the so-called sovereign territory of the Russian Federation can only be seen as a slap in the face personally to Putin. They engage the enemy from a distance of several kilometers, calling their equipment a sniper rifle on tracks.
Hyper's landmark.
Sniper rifle. It works perfectly up to 4 kilometers. We have 4 types of ammunition: armor piercing, cumulative, buckshot and high explosive. And for each type there are specific adjustments in the ballistic calculator.
Properly chosen ammunition plus
The
skill.
breeder and the first shell lands on the target.
This was Golova.
It was an infantry fighting vehicle. We were working at a distance of 2 kilometers, 300 meters. The vehicle was moving under the tree line. I saw it both visually in the main sight and confirmed it in the thermal sight. We hit it on the first try. There were no problems with the first shell.
In a duet with Bradley IFVs and Abrams tanks since October.
Fictitiousness holds back the Russian offensive for a
The
year.
city of Sudzha, the largest populated area of that part of Russian territory currently controlled by Ukraine.
We went out.
We left to assault 2 tanks, 2 Bradleys. We went, assaulted, returned.
The first losses of Abrams in the Pokrovsk direction, according to the fighters, occurred due to the unknown fact that the Americans dismantled elements of secret depleted uranium armor from the vehicles.
They didn't specify if it would be uranium or not. We just assumed there would be some kind of armor, but then it turned out to be different. We simply weren't informed that it wasn't there. If we had been told about it earlier, we would have installed 4x20 earlier and saved both the vehicles and personnel.
The bloody experience of Pokrovsk forced us to learn the strengths and weaknesses of the Abrams.
Tanks, as they
The
say.
tanks, as they say, have undergone certain modernization. In addition to the standard American protection elements, they also have the so-called Contact 1 protection installed on the armor, and it is quite effective. The frontal part is also reinforced. A powerful engine of 1,500 horsepower makes the Abrams, despite its large mass, very maneuverable and therefore an effective weapon for breaking through enemy defenses. In my opinion, this machine has only one problem. We have very few of them. For victory, for effective operation, for effective deterrence of the enemy, we need at least 10 times more of such machines. According to official data, Ukraine received only 31 Abrams of the first modification. There are about 6,000 such vehicles in American warehouses.
They no longer use this first model, not even for training exercises.
Everything in the tank is designed to maximize the crew's chances of survival. Thus, in Korchinizh, Russian FPV drones fly into a Ukrainian Abrams, several strikes on one vehicle. The crew survived. In a T-64 or T-72, after such a hit, there wouldn't even be genetic material left for identification, as they say.
Remove.
The commander of this crew was injured at Kerchina, but not in the tank. His vehicle was damaged. The tank crew evacuated and came under fire from Russian infantry.
The bullet passed.
The bullet went straight through the throat. The shoulder was stitched up a little. Very lucky.